Hey everyone, Lynn here. So I've been asked a few times just to demonstrate brush strokes and the best brushes to use for that. And so grab a few different brushes here and just kind of demonstrate how I make brush strokes. Now, there are a lot of different brushes that you can use and still end up with a beautiful result. And I like to say there's a lot of different ways to make a sandwich. You still end up with a sandwich. So it's hard to teach because it really is a personal preference, but there are a lot of different brushes. So my favorite type of brushes to use are these. These are just they're called US Art Supply is the brand. I get them on Amazon. They've got a nice long bristle and they make really good brush strokes. Thoughtful Dots is a mandala artist, but she has an Etsy where she sells supplies as well, and these are her brushes. And she has a very similar type brush to the US Art Supply brushes. They're very similar. I would say her bristles are a little springier or a little more firm, which sometimes can help with the brush strokes, but both of these are really great options. This here is a Master's Touch script liner, and so what this is used for, the primary use would be for long thin strokes in lettering is typically what these are used for, but you can get these at Hobby Lobby. They have a nice long brush end and they make beautiful brush strokes. This brush here, this one's going to look a little crazy just because the way it dried, but this is a Royal Langnickel Zen brush, and it's got a, I would say, medium to long tip on it, and this makes good brush strokes. This one here is an Artist Loft brush, so this came from Michael's. This is called a Tribeca liner, and these liner brushes are great for lettering, but they work perfect for mandala brush strokes. Now this is just a round brush that I used to use for my paint parties, and so it's just a thin, this is a 00 round. This one is probably a size 1 or 2 round, and this is another from the US Art Supply, and these have smaller tips, and I'll show you how to use those. Now, in my opinion, biggest two differences between these long, well, not this one, these long-ended brushes and these. First difference is how long you can go with your brush stroke. So these are going to hold a lot more paint, and so you're going to be able to make longer brush strokes with these. I've got some glitter all over my paper here. These will make longer brush strokes. These hold less paint, so they're going to make shorter brush strokes. The second biggest difference is the way that you use them. So these, because they're smaller, you're going to put most of the pressure, just light pressure, on the tip. We're barely going to bend that bristle. We're going to use most of the brush stroking in that tip. So when you use a short bristled brush, most of the action happens at the end. With these longer bristled brushes, we are going to push down, and most of the action is going to happen up here, and we're just going to pull the end of it along for the ride. Okay, so those are the two biggest differences. These type of brushes, like the round brushes, when they get thick like this, are not good for making the mandala brush strokes. So the thicker that you get, the harder it's going to be to make those strokes. And so I'm just going to show you a few of these. So this is my Artist Loft. I use this one a lot. And this is kind of a medium length. This is one of my shorter, long bristled brushes. So again, with this one, I push down, and then I can lift up to get a nice end. So you'll see most of the action happens when it's pushed all the way down, okay? And then the lighter pressure I go, the thinner I can make that stroke. And so it's a matter of pressure. So again, this is heavy pressure. It gets very thick. And then lighter pressure can give you a nice thin stroke. And of course you can use these for curves as well. Now these longer brushes, you have to be a little more careful and slower when you're making curved or long designs because they're harder to control because there's more bristle. So let me show you one of these shorter ones. So there's a lot of pressure, a little bit of pressure, a lot of pressure, a little bit of pressure. And these smaller ones are also good for the curvier things. So you can do, I don't know. You just have more control the smaller the bristle. But you can see these two are very similar. So you can get similar petal strokes. In the decorative art community, they call these comma strokes. And so the bend, when I'm doing this, is about halfway down the bristle. Whereas when I was using the long ones, my bend was all the way towards the inside of the bristle. And if I want it to be thinner, I just use lighter pressure. So that was a small US Art Supply. I'll use my large US Art Supply. So again, to make big, long strokes, I can put a lot of pressure and see how much paint this holds. It'll just keep on going. Or I can use a little pressure and make it thinner. But there's no way I'd be able to make these long strokes with the short brush. So these long bristles are really good in larger designs. And see how I'm pushing all the way down that bristle. I push all the way down and I pull the end of it. And then I lighten up the pressure. Another thing that I do with these longer brushes, when I need really long strokes, make sure, for example, I can probably go all the way up the edge of this paper. If I load this brush up with a lot of paint, I can start down here. I can extend this brush stroke by lengthening out my fingers. So I start with my wrist and I just keep on going. And as you get towards the end, you lighten your pressure and it kind of gets, the movement gets more in your fingers. So down here, it's push, bend that bristle like this. See how it's bent? And then you just pull those bristles, and as it gets up towards the end, lighter pressure, and it's almost just a little flick. I didn't reapply paint, so that one ran out. But so this was my US Art Supply, the long bristle. Now I'll do my script liner. This one holds a lot of paint. So this was the Hobby Lobby Master's Touch script liner. So here's a lot of pressure. Here's lighter pressure. But see how I can do much longer strokes with these long bristles. But you can also do short brush strokes as well. They don't all have to be crazy length. But you're gonna have an easier time doing shorter brush strokes with shorter brushes. So again, I'll pick up a short one. Now this is a round brush, so this is getting kind of close to being almost too thick. But I can do those long strokes, or somewhat long, right? They're not gonna get all the way across the page like this. But with these, you can also do some short petal strokes as well. So these are good for making kind of those daisy type designs. If you've got, let's say, a small to medium sized dot that you just want to add a curve around, these small ones are better for the little curves. And of course I'm kind of working on a whim here. There's these large brushes, they're just better for the bigger strokes. So I hope that maybe answers some of your questions. It really is just a matter of practice and play with the brush strokes. Everybody makes them a little differently, and the last thing I want to leave you with is your brush strokes are going to be different from person to person. Everybody's are different. It's like your signature. We can all write the same letters, but they're going to look different just based on your own personal style. And you can either develop that style, like some people have really developed calligraphy like handwriting, and other people have script handwriting, and other people print. It's the same thing with brush strokes. So you're going to develop your own style. My brush strokes are different from other teachers who make brush strokes as well. It's just how it is. So embrace your own personal style. The most important thing I would say when making a mandala is the symmetry. So it's not as important that your brush stroke be this particular style as much as you're able to replicate whatever brush stroke that you make. So just practice, have fun with it, and show me some of your work. I'd love to see it. Thanks, everyone.